Hey guys, I apologize for this terrible yellow lighting, but welcome to the questions that have been asked repeatedly, so frequently asked questions in the Singularity Circle and the Singularity Storyteller Incubator. My name is Isabel. I'm a artist, coach, and brand consultant, teaching entrepreneurs, artists, and creatives, soft-spoken leaders, how to really have influence both in online and offline spaces, and how to use storytelling to do that. I've been doing this for about 10 years now, since 2008, and let's get started. So, frequently asked question is, how do I make sales? So this is maybe a kind of silly answer, but care about your stuff. If you're a person that isn't clear about the result that your stuff, your book, your art will give, if you're not even a believer in your own stuff, the enthusiasm and the invitations for inviting people to engage with your stuff, right? It's always an invitation. You're never forcing anybody into anything. You can remind them a couple times because we're all busy human beings, but you're never forcing anybody to engage, right, with your stuff. Once you're forcing, then that's you can do that if you really want to. I'm not stopping you. But if you're forcing somebody, it's like forcing somebody to eat really healthy food. How can you force somebody to eat healthy food? Usually what has to happen is some traumatic thing has to happen, like a heart attack or a stroke, or they gain a lot of weight, or something like that, where they're like, geez, I really have to shift something in my life. And then they'll start Googling things, and then if you're somebody that teaches that, they'll reach out to you and say, hey, I'm ready to get my body in shape. How do I do this, right? They'll read some blog posts, they'll maybe sign up for a diet plan or something, they'll start exercising regularly, but they're needing a little bit more accountability and toning up, or how to stay safe in their yoga practice or something like that. So it's really important that you address those problems, those questions in your content and the story that you put out into digital space, and also in online space, online and offline space. It's really important that all of the stories that you put out, that you write, that you make artwork with, goes back to why you're doing the work you're doing. If you were the person that had the heart attack, had the stroke, and then you shifted your life by reading books, by you following these people, by you hiring a coach, by you signing up for a nutrition program, and then you shifted your life and now you lost weight, or you have more energy, or you reversed a disease that you had, you've done it. So all of the content and everything that you put out always is an invitation. And if you do not explicitly put out, here's an invitation to find out more, link to your website, link to your Instagram, nobody's going to know how to engage, right? You have to really, here's the link. And then you allow them the choice to engage with your work or not. This is where mindful singularity storytelling comes in. So how else do you sell stuff, right? Go through all of your network of the people that you know and invite them to engage with your work. Let them know what you were up to, right? Otherwise, if nobody knows, right? And coming straight from your own mouth, people know you. And if you've built up credibility and a good work ethic and you deliver on your results, right? That takes time and effort to build. And that can get snapped out underneath, overnight, if you do not have good work ethic, if you do not follow through, or if you do follow, if you mess up and you don't follow through, but you don't say hey, how can I improve, right? That's really, really important to mention as a freelancer, as a business owner, as a human being, period. That, this is my process and this is how I do things, and, this is why I do the things I do, from learning from the past, right? Because we're always constantly learning, and what works for you, it may not work for somebody else, right? So I'm teaching you the things that have worked for me. So yeah, go through your entire network and let people know what you're up to. And when you do let people know what you're up to, let them know what problem you specifically are solving for them. Because in reality, everybody's super busy and nobody needs more stuff on their plate, really. What people are craving is typically what you are craving as well. So for me, it was community, education, bettering myself, um, art making, um, and then consciously creating that with my own programs and classes and consulting work. And from there, I let people know, hey, I think you're a good fit for this. Or, hey, I think that this might be a good resource for you. And if I'm not a good resource, you have a network of other people that you know they have a good work ethic, they are supportive, they might be a better fit, right? And you send them to those people. But that takes time to build, right? This is why it's good to get in and learn from mentors and people that are better, not better than you, but have been in business longer or have kind of done what you wanted to do. And they're doing it, right? So asking those people for advice, and what do you do? And then respecting those people's times, like, that person's incredibly busy, right? So really taking the time to better your own self and really connecting with, at the end of the day, what is it that you're giving people and that you're serving people with? Is it an amazing experience that they feel supported, they feel empowered? I hate using that word because it's so overused, but they are self-sufficient then, right? That this tool that you sell, like if you sell hammers, that person now knows how to hook up, paintings up on their wall because their wall was just bare and they just didn't know what to do with that, but they found a hammer. Now they put up nails, right? So I want you, if anything, from these frequently asked questions, connect with what it is that would make you want to buy your own stuff. If you don't want to buy your own stuff, nobody else wants to. Like, I only sell stuff that I would want to buy, that I would love, and then I create it in a way that I would want, right? And the thing is, not everybody wants it the way I want it. That's why there's like no... People are like, oh, well, that person's already doing what I'm doing. Doesn't matter. Nobody's doing it the way you're doing it, right? So, with that said, that's how you make sales. So connect with why you love this thing that you made or your artwork. Let your network know about it. And when you let people know about it, what is the problem that you are solving for them? Or how are you supporting them? Or how is this product, service, book, experience going to benefit their lives? Right? So yeah, that's selling. Then the other frequently asked question that's been kind of coming up is how do you build a following? And this is the same thing. Care about something. Make that sound easy, but really care about something and consistently stick with it. I'm so sorry about this lighting. Care about something that is important to you and your own personal values, and then create content, art, digital stuff around it, and learn maybe a little bit of SEO, learn a little bit about what hashtags to use depending on what digital platform you're using, and connect with like-minded people. Like, tag somebody that is doing great work that you think is also really good, like, this is a lot of work to create content consistently, to be an artist today, to be a creative type freelancer today is really hard work. Consistent, all the time work. Fun if you're a generator, if you love making, if you love creating, and it's almost like a compulsive thing that if you do not create, you feel incomplete, right? But it's really, really, how do you say? It's consistently showing up and then inviting people to engage. Show up, invite to engage. Show up, invite to engage. And then a year later, so again, this is for the long term. This isn't overnight you get 100 followers, unless of course you want a ton of spam bots. Or you accidentally go viral because somebody took something that you did and put it in some dark part of the internet and they got blown out of proportion. But that's a different conversation for another day. It's very important that you're clear in that you're enjoying what you're doing. If you're not enjoying what you're doing and there isn't a deeper call or search for what you're doing and you kind of end up resenting what you're doing, then it's not fun. And then you're gonna, it'll be hard to build a following. So building a following takes time. Building a following means consistent generation of content. And not just like every single day make a piece of content, but really consistent content making at a specific time every week so people kind of get into a flow of when you are creating content. A pool to gather people in. So whether it's Instagram followers or an email list or a Facebook group or something else. You gotta keep those people together because those are the ones that want to engage in conversation with your artwork, with your work. And yeah, the other final thing, there's going to be a certain point when it grows out of control and you can't do this anymore, but really personally acknowledging the people that are supporting your work and thank you, and then inviting those people, hey, if this work resonates with you, share it out. Usually people will share something if it resonates with their beliefs or it instills some kind of emotional response or something like that. But it's really, if you're just in this to gain followers, there's plenty of tactics and strategies for that I don't teach. I really am here to connect you with why you're doing what you're doing because that's going to be the internal motivation to continue to make the work, and then the followers happen as a byproduct of this. There's that. So I don't like to teach strategies and tactics because everybody is doing that. I'm more here about what's your singularity story, the story that you're going to leave behind as a digital footprint after you die, after you're not around anymore. When people Google your name, what's going to come up? Because we're living in a crazy time now where it's not just, the top that had a platform, that had the opportunity to be on TV or had, opportunity to speak, their truth or their perspective on life. That wasn't a possibility for only recently. It was like, when did the internet come out? Like, for the masses. And like YouTube. Like, that was really the generation, the revolution of platform building and influencer marketing becoming a thing, where you could actually have like sponsored content, But these are the kind of conversations and things that we have in the Singularity Circle. And I have one-on-one with my clients around how do you leave a longer term legacy behind you. And if you're not clear on your values and what you stand for and your past story of yourself, your present story of yourself, and a direction that you want to kind of go into with your life, digitally and in real life, it's going to be really, really hard to create without just like putting stuff on the wall. I mean, unless that's your value, it's like nihilism, then have at it, but you're clear that it's nihilistic and not just, you know, unfounded. This is why I'm very much about radically conscious self-expression, because you know the ramifications of your actions when you take a stand for something, and it's going to be polarizing no matter what you do, because you can never please anybody 100%. So, but when you do take that stand, you understand the consequences of your actions. That you're going to create a certain following, you're going to create a certain dialogue and conversation, you're going to create a certain company culture. And, you know, if you're aware of that, you can mold it in a way where you allow then for complex conversations to happen, right? Anyway, I just want to riff on this and go into a whole different direction, but I wanted to keep it to the point in this video around how do you sell things today? How do I sell in a way that is still supportive to me, but also supportive to my own business and as an artist? How do I do that? And then also, how do you gain a following? And it's such a weird thing that that's a question today. If you really think about it, like, how do you gain followers? That's like asking Buddha or Jesus, like, how did they gain followers? How did you find your 12 disciples, Jesus? Or like, how did you, Buddha, like, how did you gain a crowd of, like, a mass of people that then started taking down notes of what you're teaching? You know, that's the kind of world we're living in, where influencers now are, you know, there are people teaching this. This is why internally I have this struggle around teaching this kind of thing, because most people don't realize that that's what people are asking. So when you are doing that, you have to realize that with that power and that influence comes amazing responsibility, and not everyone can handle that. And you know, you can decide what level of responsibility and influence in both online and offline space you will take. This is almost like entering the world of politics, you know, and, you know, coming from my background of communist Romania, you know, Eastern European, Soviet kind of thinking, where art was all for, you know, the greater good and that kind of thinking. And I just came back from the Art Institute, currently has an exhibition on this. It's very, very interesting to see, you know, the evolution of that. And this is why I'm so cautious. And I walk on this very thin line around PR, because PR is basically propaganda. And communication also, like teaching people to take personal responsibility for all of their communications, both digitally and offline. And this means taking responsibility for all the things that you consciously choose, right, to do. If there are other things that are like out of your control, that's out of your control. But the things, the artwork that you put out is, you know, your legacy. And I don't take that lightly, and I don't think that circle numbers do either. I don't think that freelancers and the artists of today take that lightly either. Like, they recognize that that's their business card, that's their storefront, that's their way of making a living or not. And it's very, very interesting times that we're living in. I would love to know if you are outside of the incubator or the circle, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Hi. I have info down below. The Incubator is a storytelling space where people can go into the 5-day storytelling challenge, so they can understand, you know, what is the story that they kind of want to leave behind. That is something that they want to do, right? Because who's gonna own all that digital content that after you die? Like, this is something that Facebook is grappling with as well. Like, well, who owns it? Do you give that to the family? Do you, like, what happens with all that? So that's what happens in the Incubator. We go through the 5-day storytelling challenge. What's really interesting is people's own, like, folklore or language kind of develops from within that process. So their artwork kind of takes a life of their own, which is really, really cool to see people's unique stances on things. And then the Singularity Circle is a paid accountability group where every month we set intentions about what, you know, our goals are, particularly more on the business kind of things. As a professional artist, as a professional digital teacher, how can you navigate those waters today, and how do you build a following? How do you create and cultivate that community, both in online and offline space, where people want to engage with your work or ask deeper questions? So it's bringing more mindfulness to the online space, since that's the kind of world we're living in today. So that's that. If you are interested in doing the 5-day storytelling challenge, it's a free little exercise. You can go to isabelrizzo.com and sign up for that there, and you can join the Incubator for free and, you know, work through each day as a different process, a different part of your story. If you are interested in more one-on-one work and accountability in really crafting your story, really using digital platforms to leverage, you know, your business, also influencer marketing, like how does that develop? Would love to have you in the Singularity Circle. We have openings until November 18th, before the registration closes. So if you're interested, I'll have a link down below for that as well. Alright guys, those were the questions for this month. I will see you all later. Bye!